Hi, everyone. I'm Tim Koehler, and this is my research proposal presentation on the effectiveness of using one-to-one technology in secondary science education. So, I'd like to start off by providing a little background on why I chose this topic. Last January, my high school was one of the last schools to receive their one-to-one technology initiative. With that rollout, many teachers had lots of questions regarding how we were supposed to implement these new devices in our daily lessons and classroom activities. So, with that in mind, I thought I would center my research on determining the effectiveness of using one to one technology in secondary science education. So, while the purpose statement for this study may seem a bit broad, I hope to discover if or to what extent one to one technology has toward influencing students' engagement and learning outcomes, and to some extent, teacher effectiveness as well. So, I planned this study using an overarching central question and three additional sub questions that might help me to narrow the research focus a bit. So the central question, does using technology-based instruction in the science classroom really make a difference? And the three sub questions or supporting questions, the first one, what are the core beliefs and perspectives of science teachers and students about using one-to-one technology in secondary science education? Number two, what technology-based instructional practices can teachers implement to improve student interest, motivation, engagement, and learning outcomes in secondary science education? And the last one, to what extent does using one-to-one technology influence student interest, motivation, engagement, and learning outcomes in secondary science education? So as you can see, the main focus of the study revolves around identifying personal opinions and perspectives, determining best practices, and deciding whether or not technology-based instruction has any effect on teacher and student performance. Regarding the literature review, I cited 15 sources and one research study. In terms of the entire proposal, I used 23 sources in all. During the literature review process, I soon realized that there had been an enormous amount of research devoted to understanding and developing best practices for technology-based instruction, but not so much in terms of providing differentiated instruction or using adaptive learning techniques or technologies. So my plan is to focus a great deal of my attention in these areas during my study. Like many of you, I assume, this will also be my first research project. So with that in mind, I decided to use only one method. For this study, I will use a qualitative methodology. I plan to conduct this study over the course of 13 weeks, during which time I will facilitate multiple focus group meetings, discussions, and individual interviews to capture participants' perceptions and attitudes regarding various one-to-one phenomena and technology-based instructional strategies. I will gather and analyze data collected from multiple electronically delivered surveys, questionnaires, and documents such as teacher notes and lesson plans. A thematic analysis method will be used to analyze, describe, and interpret all qualitative data collected throughout the study. This process will include using descriptive and in vivo coding and labeling processes to segregate data into categories, ultimately helping me identify perceptions, values, and beliefs. The data collected will be examined using in vivo qualitative data analysis software, which hopefully will help me to interpret its meaning and identify possible trends and themes. I say hopefully because honestly, I have no previous experience using this software, so I have no idea what to expect. Initially, this study's participants will include all assigned science teachers, which total 8, and about 180 students, which is about 50% of all the enrolled sophomores at my school. While the goal is to have all assigned teachers and students participate in this study, a minimum sample size of 25% would suffice, which translates to about 45 students and 2 teachers. My takeaways thus far. As previously stated, there's been a great deal of research devoted to understanding and developing best technology-based instructional practices. However, I believe that the gap in the literature lies in knowing whether or not technology-delivered differentiated instruction and adaptive learning technologies have a significant effect on improving instruction or increasing student achievement. While this study's results are still uncertain, I believe that the journey of discovery will be exciting. Hopefully, it will yield some actionable insight as to how educators such as myself might use this technology to improve instruction and increase student achievement.